You guys, you talked about it. You guys were at Cowboys and Rams joint practice on Thursday, where Jerry Jones said there was no urgency to come to terms on an extension with CD Lamb, while the 49ers and Brandon Aiyuk situation took a turn last week after Aiyuk said no to a trade to the Patriots. So, which of these two receiver contract dramas is the bigger mess, and will that affect their team during the season?
So I'm going to go with Brandon Aiyuk. Why? Because they are a Super Bowl contender. We all know what the Cowboys are. I'm sorry, but the Cowboys are not a Super Bowl contender. They're probably a playoff contender. They're not even I would pencil them into a playoff spot, but that eraser could come out really quickly. I think Brandon Aiyuk, you are really in a way you kind of messed yourself up because you got offered $32 million from the Patriots. You said, no, I'm good. Thank you. Allegedly. And then the only team that you're willing to go for and is willing to trade for you are the Steelers. But then what are you going there for? Like, you don't know. Justin Fields looked bad on Justin Fields did not look good on Saturday, or Friday, whatever the hell that game was. And then Danger Russ. I mean, do you really want to play with Russell Wilson? You have Brock Purdy that you know who you're playing with. Unless you think Brock Purdy is not the guy, then come out and say it. Say, I do not want to play with Brock Purdy anymore. I want to go somewhere else and find something else. There's no team that's going to want trade for you and then give you the bag that you're looking for. You are, and I would never tell anybody what they're worth or whatever, but he should be looking around for like Jalen Waddle style money, like right around that arena. Like, you're not in the Justin Jefferson, CD Lamb, or any of that conversation. Again, I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, you were kind of screwed in the Super Bowl. There were 3 or 4 times where you would have had either a touchdown or a big gain. I remember I watched it back. You were open a lot of the time. I get the frustration, but you guys are on the cusp of potentially being a Super Bowl winner. You guys drafted a receiver. You have Deebo Samuel, you have Christian McCaffrey. You guys still have, and then you have the issue now that he didn't create it, but Trent Williams is now not there. If you don't have Trent Williams and you don't have him, like, you're basically like, now you're fighting with the Rams and the Cardinals and even the Seahawks. The Cardinals and the Seahawks are a little bit a tier below, but still, without Trent Williams and without the Aiyuk, it's a terrible situation. But I think Aiyuk is the one that is the bigger mess, just because you are a Super Bowl contender. You were a couple of missed throws away or misplays away from beating the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the second time you've almost beat them. Now you're kind of at that point where coming back, you might have a strong enough team to be able to go chase that. But Aiyuk is obviously the cog that's kind of stopping them. And San Francisco wants a receiver back. They're not going to get a receiver of the caliber of Tyreek Hill. By the way, people saying that Ryan Williams was at Raiders camp the other day, who's his agent, to try and do a trade between Devontae Adams and Brandon Aiyuk. I'm like, dude, people are just reaching at this. But my bad. But yeah, that's Brandon Aiyuk is my choice.
Before I go to you, Gilbert, I just want to ask you, Fernando, is Aiyuk more of a system guy here, that's why he's good, or is he an actual legit receiver that should command top tier wide receiver money?
Well, I would never want to put him in a box because we don't know. But the thing is, if I was him, you're not going to find a more receiver unless you're going to Sean McVay's system. You're not finding a more receiver friendly offense than the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, we've all heard what happened with Arthur Smith over in Atlanta when he was the head coach. You've heard some of those stories. Are you really willing to risk to go over there? And then here you're kind of, in a sense, like receiver one, in a sense. Like, I get Deebo Samuel is the go-to guy, but they hand it off to him. They do other things with him. You've kind of been that receiver that's kind of made that engine go, in a sense. Over here, you're going to be with George Pickens. Do you want to play second fiddle to George Pickens? And I mean, I guess you could say, oh, well, he's playing second fiddle to Deebo Samuel. But no, I think in this system, he works well in the 49er system. I just think it'd be a shame if he left. But to answer your question, I just don't know, because if he gets traded to the Steelers and then he plays bad, then you'd be like, okay, yeah, he's a product of the system. But I think he must think to himself that he might be, and that's why he's kind of trying to cash out before he goes somewhere. And I think they need to work it out, though. I don't like this whole trading thing. They need to work it out.
Gilbert?
Yeah, just to to agree with Fernando, and I'll say your line, Fernando. You were so Nick right in a lot of things you said right there. And just to put I guess a bow on CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys. Like the Cowboys, you have no shot at all without CeeDee Lamb. Go get the deal done. I think they will. We can move on from that. Maybe it won't happen in September, whatever.
Oh, and he scrapped everything from his Instagram and Twitter about him being the Cowboys
God.
receiver.
Yeah, that's yeah. Then they'll demand the trade, and then eventually they'll get a deal. We know the whole playbook. Yeah, first get them off your social media, and then you make a couple of tweets about it, like subliminal, whatever, and then
LOL.
yeah, and crap like that. Anyways, I'm tired of that. But to answer your question that you just asked, Fernando Victor, I think Aiyuk is a really good wide receiver who's a top 5 route runner, but not top 5 wide receiver. And I'm not trying to bring shade here, but I think Aiyuk is one of these guys where he's really good. Like when you think about Keenan Allen and Mike Evans, you never thought that's a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. There were some points where they were really, really that good where you could have a conversation, but I don't think Aiyuk is going to be Jefferson. He's not going to be CeeDee Lamb. He's not going to be Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams. So he's like going to be like a top 10 guy, and he's trying to get paid like a top 5 guy. And he probably sees where the quarterback market is. Okay, well, I'm next in line, so you got to pay me like that. No, there's a reason why Jalen Waddle had to take a little pay cut. Well, not really a pay cut, but not be $30 million. Devontae Smith, even Amon-Ra St. Brown to an extent had to take a little bit because you're not Jefferson. The bar was set. You're Justin Jefferson, and he's trying to get as close to that. And then like you're turning down a contract from the Patriots because the money is good, but you're not going to go to a winning franchise. What the hell do you want, man? Like, are the 49ers giving you peanuts for like that's why you don't want to sign there? Because Fernando, you nailed it there with the Steelers. You don't even have one good quarterback. I don't know what's going to happen with Russell Wilson. I don't know what's going to happen with Justin Fields. The offensive line was pretty bad. It was preseason. I get it. And also, like, when was the last time the Steelers were a Super Bowl contender? Like, they've been playoff contenders, but you've never actually looked at them and say they have a chance to win it because they don't have good offenses. They have good defenses. You have a good coach, but you've been in mediocre land where you find yourself in the wild card every now and then. Like, yeah, you could maybe win there, but you're not going to win a Super Bowl. That's with the 49ers. And if you can't meet the number, then just tell the 49ers, promise me that you're not going to franchise tag me. I will ball out for you guys. Maybe win the Super Bowl this year. But that way I hit the open market and I could break the bank and maybe be a Super Bowl champion at the same time. You can have everything you want. The only thing you have to wait a little longer. And also the 49ers are screwing themselves over by letting Aiyuk just pick where he wants to go. You're not a free agent, my guy. You're not also Justin Jefferson. And then you're the 49ers saying, well, we want Amari Cooper back. We want a good wide receiver. Now you're limiting the pool of options here. So I don't know why you're giving all the power to Brandon Aiyuk when I just saw the New York Jets. The New York Jets are going to get credit for me, not the 49ers. You tell Hassan Reddick, you better show up to camp. You're not gonna get a trade like because everybody wants to demand a trade because nowadays all you got to do is tell the agent to leak it to Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport. I want to trade. The Jets said, refreshing, hey, we're not going to trade to come to camp. Why can't the 49ers do it with Brandon Aiyuk? I don't get what they're doing. They're botching the whole thing to me.
Yeah, and I think both teams are at fault here, but I'm talking about when I say both teams, I'm saying the 49ers and Aiyuk here because you could have done this before the draft and you could have got yourself some draft picks. Now you're waiting till now, and now you're forcing your hand with his trade demands, and it just looks bad. In terms of, if you've seen the videos from training camp, he's just in a hoodie, he's walking around, he's holding in, and then you're still trying to deal with the whole Trent Williams situation as well. When Trent Williams is your number one guy. Without him, you go nowhere. We know that offensive line outside of Trent Williams is pretty bad. And so I just think that they need to nip this in the butt sooner rather than later. We know what's going to happen with CeeDee Lamb eventually. He's going to get paid. Part of the reason that he's holding out too is because he's still in a rookie contract, and he's not going to get fined because that's under the CBA new rules. You can get back those fines, but if he was a veteran, he would have to do that. So I mean, like you guys.
And Jerry said he doesn't want him out there just in case if he doesn't get hurt. But how many guys haven't we seen that skip out training camp? They come back and then it takes them a while to kind of get going. So they're playing a dangerous game.